Hey folks, Poverty Pod Customs here. What we're going to do today is an oil change on a 2022 Zforce 950 by Cfmoto. And we currently have 11.7 hours or 271 kilometers. So I just bought this yesterday, so this was probably going to be its first service it's ever seen. So to do the engine oil and filter change, we're going to need an 8mm and a 19mm socket, some paper towel, and I actually have a Cfmoto factory oil change kit. So before you do your oil change, you're going to want to let the bike warm up for a couple minutes so the engine oil is warm. Alright, so we're going to need 3 liters of 5W40 full synthetic fluid. We have our oil filter, we have our crush washers. Again, you're going to need paper towel and your drain pan. Alright, on the right side of the motor, there's your oil level. So we're going to need 2.6 liters. Right here is your oil fill. The one in the front is actually for your transmission fluid, and this is your oil filter. So as you can see the big hole right there, that's where your oil drain bolt is going to be. Right there, it's going to be a 19mm, so we're going to drain the oil. So while the oil is draining, you want to clean off your magnetic oil drain plug. This actually looks really good. Again, this is probably the first oil change on this. Barely anything on there. So you want to get all that off because it's magnetic. If you crack open your oil dipstick or fill, it will help drain the oil a lot faster too. Alright, so we got that surface all clean, the magnetic surface. You're going to want a new crush washer. Always check to make sure the old crush washer is actually not stuck where you drain the oil underneath the motor, because a lot of people will leave the old one on and it will start leaking. So we're going to reinstall this. Alright, so once we got the oil plug in nice and snug, again, don't over tighten it. We're going to remove the oil filter. I like to put a little bit of paper towel down at the bottom. So it's 3 bolts you have to take out. It's 8mm. When you take out the top one, you're going to take off this bracket holding this on, and then we're going to pull the filter out. With the 3 bolts off, we're going to pull the filter cap off and the filter will come out. Now with the filter pulled out, I like to clean inside the filter housing, and you want to make sure that the rubber O-ring's off. So there's the filter cover. I like to clean inside here and again around the outer edge. And also here's the old filter. I like to check it in the filter folds to make sure there's nothing magnetic. And this actually looks perfect. It actually looks brand new. So we're going to reinstall our new filter. The hole goes towards the engine. And you'll hear like a little pop once it's in, snug just like that. So next you're going to reinstall your filter cover. You want to make sure you have your new O-ring on. You're going to put in your 3 bolts, and remember to put this bracket on the top one. So once the filter cover is installed, I like to clean the area with a little bit of parts cleaner. Get rid of any oil leaks or drips from when we changed it. Alright, so we're going to remove the dipstick, and before we remove this, actually make sure this surface around here is nice and clean. Anytime I do service on my bikes, I'll always wash them, and especially the areas where I'm going to be working. So I put a funnel in, and what we're going to do is put in about 2.4 liters. Takes about 2.6. You don't want to overfill it. Alright, so we've put in about 2.3 liters. So what we're going to do is remove the filler put in our dipstick, and we're going to let the bike run for about 30 seconds or so because you want to get fluid or oil through your oil filter. So while it's running, you want to check for leaks around your oil filter as well as your oil drain. Alright, so we've let the bike sit for about a minute to let the oil go down to the crankcase. So what you're going to do is unscrew your dipstick. You're going to clean it off. And when you check your levels, you want to put the dipstick back in. You do not want to screw it in. You just want the threads to be touching. Pull it out and check your level. And as I can see without cleaning it off, it's at the low mark, so it's probably going to need a little bit more oil. So we'll clean it off and check it. So it's right there, so we need to add probably 200 to 300 mils of oil. And we're right at the full mark. So the oil change part's done. Again, always check to make sure that there's no leaks or drips. Anytime I do an oil change, I always hit my grease points, the A-arms. There's one right there and one right there. So this is on the front. We're going to do both sides. So that's how you change the engine oil filter on a 2022 Zforce 950. So there's going to be 2 more videos regarding maintenance on this. So the next 2 are going to be changing your rear and front differential fluids and your transmission fluid, which is accessed right under there by your oil filter. And then we're also going to go over checking your air filter, fuel filter, and whatnot. Again, I check my oil every ride. And after and before each ride, I like to make sure everything's nice and greased. So again, check all your fluids and change them on a regular basis. Check your instruction manual and see what it recommends. This will be done minimum once a year. Again, I don't put a ton of miles on them, so that could be every couple hundred kilometers or maybe a little bit more. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for future videos on the new toy.